What's up, everybody? It's part 2 of catching up in Pokemon Go from this weekend. And because I never had any plan of recording Community Day, it's more Articuno footage. This is the last of the stuff I recorded. Towards the end, my phone was getting a little too hot to continue recording. I was moving on foot. And also, it was the last hour, so pretty much the majority of... You're seeing the majority of what happened, basically. This was recorded from, I think, 3:08 to 3:50 something, and then the final hour was us not just walking around, but running around, trying to hit every gym we possibly could in the last hour. It was all great. It was all really fun. I think, as I said before, everybody in our group, I think, got at least a shiny. Everybody who was with us all 3 hours, I'll say. There were people who joined in about the middle. Some of them got shinies, some of them didn't. A couple of people who were there from the start and then left around the middle also peeled off around midway through, so around 3:20, 3:30-ish. They would peel off and leave because they had gotten... A, they had gotten their shinies, or B, they didn't, but they had other things to do that day. So, yeah, basically, it was a great day. It was pretty fun, and I'm trying to seg into it by discussing why I think this day was more community-oriented than our normal community days. And there was discussion about this on a couple of subreddits, and the argument is one that I identify with. It's one that I'd actually been discussing with people while walking between raids, and these days, like, community days are more of a free-for-all type thing. Yeah, we all participate together. I, for one, walk around with, the same group of people each time. I don't know people who participate in community day in groups of 5 or 6, right? And they'll, like, walk around and check Squirtles all together. Well, they check Squirtles this time, but they'll check the featured community day Pokemon all together, right? But it's still more of a free-for-all, do your own kind of thing, because, well, you can do community day on your own, and your shiny odds and everyone else's shiny odds are entirely independent of each other. Now, what makes Squirtle community day different is the shiny shade Squirtle, right? Like a lot of us thought, to be completely fair to everyone, all the stops handed out the Squirtle Squad task. No stop did not hand out Squirtle Squad tasks. So that was great. But only a select few handed out shiny Squirtles with shades, right? And the cool thing about that was, if it handed out a shiny Squirtle with sunglasses to one person, it would do that for everyone. So the cool community-oriented thing was that if you found a stop that handed out that task where the shade Squirtle was shiny, then, you'd report it, you'd tell people, you'd report it to, like, your group chat or your Discord, you'd tell people, etc. And that was a very community-oriented thing, because that helped the community. And in that one case, what was shiny and what was not was actually the same for everyone. And granted, if one Articuno raid handed out a shiny to one person, it wouldn't be shiny for most people who went to that same raid, right? So there's that, and I'm conceding that. But the thing is, the amount of coordination, the amount of community participation is very similar for coordinating, essentially, whether you're doing it on foot or by car, but raid training Articunos, whether you're doing it Wafu style or if you're doing it a little bit slower, there still is a good deal of community involvement, to the level that looking for shade Squirtles also had community involvement, right? If you know what I'm saying. Basically what I'm saying is, it was this day, the Articuno day, was so much fun, and Squirtle day to an extent had the same amount of fun, because we were all looking for stops that handed out the shade Squirtle that was shiny, and For Articuno Day, we were all coordinating to see, how many raids can we get, how soon, how quickly can we get these raids in before we go to other raids, etc. And that's what was really fun about it, what was really community oriented about it, and what sets this specific raid day and, to an extent, Squirtle Community Day apart from previous community days was that the activities that were put forward required us to go just a little bit beyond that normal degree of community involvement, which was everybody shows up to a single location where there's high spawn density, and everyone just talks about, how has your gameplay experience been? Because let me tell you, it varies from person to person, whether you talk about your own life experiences or not with everyone else outside of the game, right? And granted, this game does foster that kind of connection where people talk about their experiences outside of, playing the game. But for once, the game that's facilitating those kinds of connections is able to ask you to coordinate on a level beyond how you normally coordinate. Because, granted, we already do raid coordination, right? If you're in a place with a community that's sufficiently organized, then people are already that decently organized. But, there isn't really that next level incentive for raiding, right? Especially now we're kind of in a weird raid drought. Niantic is being very stingy with handing out event boxes with good deals for raid passes. And then they had this weekend, which is really interesting, where you're encouraged to do lots of raids. But, for those of us who actually do raid consistently, we've been having trouble keeping a large stockpile of raid passes without spending hundreds of dollars in the game, of course. So there's that. But that's an entirely separate thing. I'm rambling a bit, but what I'm basically saying is this day, the Articuno Day, played into an aspect of the raiding. It played into a community aspect of raiding that already existed and asked that community aspect to kind of step it up to the next level. There was massive incentive to participate in this event beyond, it's the newest legendary or it's the return of a legendary that you may already have before if you're semi-active, at least raider, but it's shiny, right? Now, not only... I was checking to see if this was the shiny one. I don't remember which one of the raids in this compilation was a shiny one. But not only is it's the return of a legendary, and it's shiny, but it's only for a limited period. And that limited period isn't a week or 2 weeks, or like it was before with shiny, legendaries you return to could be shiny. It's for 3 hours. So you really want to coordinate to your highest level. You want to have everyone who you want to leverage all your assets as a community if you really want this, right? And everybody, believe it or not, everybody thought the same way. So the whole community collectively leveraged itself, all of its assets, brought everything it could do to bear, so it would be able to try and get as many shinies out of the event as possible. And the good news is, now that trading is out, if you got the shiny or you didn't, and, people are sufficiently generous, of course, then even if you didn't get the shiny Articuno, you have a chance of receiving one through trade. Because I think that there are enough shiny Articuno out there in the community, enough were obtained that everybody who plays would be able to have one if it was if everyone traded their shinies and it was all evenly distributed, right? And I'm not saying we should do that because, some people aren't interested in having shinies if they don't get them, or they're just not interested in shinies in general. I knew that a couple of people were out not even for the shiny, they were out for the XP and for the premium raid items because they don't raid that often normally, and so they're a little short on premium items. Oh, and there's the shiny. I was like, it's around here somewhere. So this was shiny number 2. Shiny number 3 did not make it onto film. That's okay. That was the highest CP one, but this one was the highest IV one. So there's that. I think this one was 87%, which is fine. Oh, excuse me. My best shinies, I think, are all 87. Well, no. I really need to check the IV on my Shiny Shades Blastoise. It's been sitting in a gym for the last day and a half, and I don't remember what its exact IVs were, but I think it was 91 or something. So if that's the case, then that's my new highest IV Shiny. My luck with having Shinies with good IVs is kind of bad. like, all of my normal shiny Squirtle from Community Day were actually all terrible. This was the first Community Day where actually, no, I lied. This is the second Community Day where none of my Wild Encounter shinies even were rated as strong. Like, I'm Team Instinct, so the second best grade is, like, it's really strong, and that's 67 to 82. So this was the second Community Day where I didn't have a shiny with IVs over 67%. And that was so weird. And this Community Day, I'm not counting the Squirtle Squad ones, because 67 is the minimum possible IV for them. But, like, for normal Wild Encounters. And the other one was Dratini Day, which is really sad, because Dragonite is my favorite Pokemon currently, at least in Pokemon Go, and if you count all the generations, Dragonite ties with Lucario. Like, they're both equally my favorite Pokemon across all generations. And it's really sad because I couldn't get, like, you know, a really exceptional IV shiny Dratini during Dratini's Community Day. That's fine. I evolved the best one I had, and I powered it up anyway, because I like Dragonite that much, even though I think the shiny is somewhat questionable in quality and coloration, you know. But I think that's the quick and dirty of why I think Articuno Day isn't necessarily better, but it encourages that kind of community participation beyond what normal community days do. And the fun thing is, Squirtle Community Day actually did take some of the aspects of Articuno Community Day by incorporating, you know, that community needs to mobilize itself, leverage its assets to find, you know, a resource, do something that makes the situation better for everyone. For Articuno Day, it was, you know, maximizing routes, taking advantage of gym density, trying to hit as many gyms as possible. I know, for instance, like in Austin, Texas, their gym density isn't as high as it is here. So what they did is they actually organized and had drives to rent buses for Articuno Day. And that was really cool. And I'm sure other places had similar things going on to try and maximize that potential. And for Squirtle Community Day, I already said it, right? People were reporting in, you know, everyone was doing as many Squirtle Squad tasks as they could, so that way they could find which stops handed out the shinies, so that way everyone could know, and that way everyone could take advantage of it. And that's really cool. And the compilation is over about now, but that's what I think is cool about this. I also think, like, I'm going to just say this now, and I'm probably going to discuss it, like, at length in another video, but I think that there are two more normal unlocks, and those are probably going to be Moltres and Zapdos, right, for 3 hours, and they're both going to have a chance of being shiny for those 3 hours, and it's going to be really cool, because I really want to do this again. A lot of us want to do this again because we didn't know how it was going to work the first time, right, but now that we know how it would work, if they do it again, we'd be able to do it better, and do it more, and that'd be really cool. Not to mention, Articuno is my least favorite shiny out of the legendary birds. So the two better ones I can do better for, optimize myself for. That's going to be really cool. But that's all I have to say about this one. I really, like, in successive videos, I'm going to talk more about this at length. Just because this is a topic I really want to discuss even more, like, just each aspect of it. You know, legendary raids, community days, etc. So, but that's all I'm going to talk about today. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. Hit that notification bell. Be generous with your likes. Comment really whatever you want to comment below. You know, do you agree with me? Do you think normal community day is fine? Whatever. And that's it. And I will see you guys in the next one.